Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our Parent and Community Advisory Session for District 5. My name is Dr. Sheila Jackson. I'm Director of our Department of Family and Community Partnerships, and we are so happy that all of you could join us tonight. As we get started with our session, we want to make sure that we have all services that are available for you. So I'm going to shift quickly to Dr. Jennifer Love.
Good evening. We are pleased this evening to be able to provide interpreting services in American Sign Language. Those services are available by pinning the appropriate sign language interpreter on your screen. Also, simultaneous interpretation is available in Spanish. La interpretación simultánea está disponible en español. Next slide. Para acceder a los servicios de interpretación en una computadora, en la parte baja de la pantalla habrá un globo de interpretación. Haga clic en ese globo y seleccione Spanish. Si estés en un dispositivo móvil, en la parte baja de la pantalla, toca el icono de elipsis en la parte baja derecha de la pantalla y va a tocar Language Interpretation y toque Spanish. Gracias. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Love. Again, welcome everyone, and we'd like to invite you to please sign in this evening. The sign in will allow us to have an opportunity to share additional information with you about upcoming events that are going to be held for all parents in Prince George's County Public Schools. So please take a moment, scan the code, and also the link is in the chat box. Please participate in our sign in this evening. As we work together tonight, we always like to share norms for how we will conduct our session. We invite everyone to join us in practicing mutual respect, engaging transparently, listening for understanding, assuming positive intentions, because all of our work is about making sure that we are meeting the needs of all of our students, working in the best interest of all of our students. We ask also that you offer suggestions when we are working in the Q&A portal. That helps us all. Rather than complaining, let's make sure that we work collaboratively to address concerns. Next slide. Things to know, our session is being recorded so that it can be posted to our PGCPS website. And we want to make sure that every district's recording is available for members of the community who may not be able to be here. No chat is going to be available as this is a webinar. However, we will use the Q&A feature to submit questions. Staff will respond and send them to the interim superintendent for his live response. For additional questions or comments, we ask you to please use this link that you see on the screen, and it will be placed into the chat box as well. Thank you. Next slide. How to submit a question. So on your computer screen, if you look at the bottom, you see a Q&A emblem. If you don't see it, check under the More button at the bottom of your screen. When that opens for you, please type your question. You may send it anonymously, or you may go ahead and type your name into the question as well. Then click send, and that will give us an opportunity to get those questions to our interim superintendent for answering tonight. Next slide. Our agenda for this evening. We did our best to start on time, and we are just right now participating in what we call general welcome and housekeeping. As soon as possible, though, you will hear directly from our interim superintendent, Dr. Sean Joseph. After he speaks with us for a few minutes, we will then open up the Q&A opportunity. Well, will immediately begin to read your questions out loud, and he will give us responses. After the quick Q&A session, we will talk briefly about next steps via a video that we have, and then we will have our meeting closing and evaluation opportunity. So we appreciate you again, and we want to keep this program moving tonight because we want to hear from as many of you as possible. So please click on that Q&A box and begin to write your questions. And with no further ado, I would like to welcome and introduce our interim superintendent, Dr. Sean Joseph. Let's give him a warm welcome.
Okay. Hello. Hello, everybody. Great to be here in District 5. Man, it's an amazing district, and I'm so grateful to have this opportunity tonight to talk with you. I'll tell you a little bit about myself, and then I'll tell you a little bit about what I know about District 5. Next slide. So I can't believe it has been 30 years that I've been in, leadership in education. I don't feel that old, but I guess the grays under my chin tell a different story. But I got here to Maryland back in 1999 via Lincoln University, where I was an English education major. Didn't plan on majoring in English education, but while at Lincoln, I became an upward bound counselor, and I wound up meeting a student from South Philadelphia High School who struggled reading. And, while at Lincoln, I had never experienced anybody who struggled academically before. And, I remember the person who was over Upward Bound, at Lincoln. His name was Herschel Bailey. He had shared with me that it wasn't uncommon for students to be behind and struggle reading, particularly students who had come from, large urban cities. And I just didn't understand, how do we put people on the moon and not teach children how to read in this country? So it was, it felt like it was one of the first times God actually spoke with me. And, I wound up changing my major from biology to English education at that time. And so since then, I had been an English teacher back at Roberto Clemente Middle School in Germantown, a reading specialist also at Clemente. Then I became a team leader at Kingsview Middle School in Germantown. Then a dean of students at Benjamin Banneker Middle School down in Burtonsville. I became an assistant principal at Redland Middle School in Rockville, and then became principal of Roberto Clemente Middle School, where I started my teaching career. I did that for 5 years and became the Maryland State Principal of the Year in 2009 for middle schools before supervising 34 schools right outside, right in the Blair Einstein Northwood Kennedy cluster down in Silver Spring, Maryland, before going off to become a superintendent of schools in a rural district called Seaford, Delaware. If you've ever gone to Rehoboth Beach, you probably run through Route 1, where Seaford is located. I did that for 2 years before coming here to Prince George's County as deputy superintendent for teaching and learning. And it was what an amazing experience. I mean, that was a time of great growth in programs. We started expanding a lot of our specialty programs and strengthening our gifted and talented programs and looking at some of our Montessori schools at that time. And I loved the work. But then Nashville, Tennessee called, and I went off to become superintendent of schools in Nashville. I did that for 3 years before going back to New York, where I'm from, where I was a visiting associate professor at Fordham University. And I did that for just one year, but it was a great year. I literally flew back and forth from Nashville to New York. So I would fly in from Nashville to LaGuardia Airport, then take a cab from LaGuardia down to the Lincoln Center. Then I would jump on a subway from the Lincoln Center to Penn Station, and then take the Long Island Railroad to Long Island to where my mother lived in Central Islip. And then I would take the plane from Islip back to Nashville. And I did that for a full year every week. So to all the West Indian families out there, you understand, we ain't scared of a lot of work and a lot of running around. Hence brings me here. But I had a chance to go back and become a professor on the tenure track at Howard University. And that's where I've been for the past 5 years now, teaching the politics of education, an ed leadership and urban education course, and then a information technology or technology in education course. And then I also ran an urban superintendents academy there, where over the past 5 years, we've placed 23 people in superintendencies around the country, and I've had the pleasure of supporting them. So you might ask, well, why in the world would you come on back? Well, I really do think that Prince George's County is a place where, excellence for all can really happen. I mean, I just think we have very capable staff. I think we have some of the most amazing students in the country. And to me, the opportunity to come back and serve in this moment under, our county executive, Aisha Braveboy, and this Board of Education was just something that I couldn't say no to. And I don't know if Robin Brown is online, but if so, I'd love for her to pop in and say hello to everybody. I mean, we've got an amazing Board of Education. And I think they are really working to get things right for our students. She's not here yet, so when she pops in, we'll let her come on. But I know Robin is very active here in the Bowie community, making sure that Bowie families are communicated with and have key information. And I know she's a great advocate. So thank you, Robin, and thank you, Board of Education. Because again, I think, we definitely have options in life. And I chose to come because I really do think we can do great work in this moment. And so as I talk about the great work that's happening in District 5, I mean, wow, District 5 is home to schools in Bowie, Glendale, and surrounding communities. And you've just got a lot of great options in terms of school choices, from the gifted and talented programs to your solid charter schools, to your schools that are serving students with special needs and disabilities. I mean, if there are two words that describe your community, it's engagement and it's advocacy, and that is clearly evident. District 5 has the highest number of folks registered for meeting with me tonight so far, which is a powerful sign of how deeply you're invested in shaping the future of your schools. And, this level of engagement is what enables you to advocate effectively for your community, because as parents, you know best, and I understand that. A recent example is the story of Point Ridge Elementary School, which was initially recommended for closure under the School Boundary Initiative due to enrollment, but after community feedback and a second review, the plan changed. And that plan wasn't just a reversal, it was a reimagining. And thanks to your voices and partnership, Pointer Ridge is now home to a regional elementary program for students with autism, addressing a critical need in our district. This decision both preserved a beloved school community and increased the building's utilization by serving more students. Pointer Ridge is now amongst the first schools, to introduce sensory calming rooms, a safe space where students with autism can regulate sensory inputs, reduce stress, and feel supported in their learning and well-being. That's what's possible when we listen deeply, when we collaborate and stay open to innovative approaches to meeting students' needs. And that's the power of community engagement. And the engagement that we see in Bowie is the type of engagement we really need to see in all 9 of our districts. And though we have levels of engagement, if we're really going to transform the school district, it's going to take the type of engagement like that that allows us to reflect on what's best for children and push. In addition to you speaking up, your students showed up. During monthly attendance tracking last year, several District 5 schools were recognized for ensuring students are in school and ready to learn. We had Heather Hills Elementary, which earned the best attendance among all elementary schools. And then, of course, Bowie High School is named Most Improved High School in attendance. And both our non-traditional program, North and C, Elizabeth Reed Regional Schools were recognized as most improved in their categories. And we know consistent attendance fuels academic success, and this community proves it. As we look at just a few of our schools, and I want to highlight a few of the wonderful schools that are in District 5. We got to start with Heather Hills Elementary, which is one of the district's tag centers, and it's among one of the highest performing elementary schools in the county and in the state. With strong attendance, it ranks second in Prince George's County and 11th in Maryland for English language proficiency performance. It's a 5-star school on the Maryland report card and a multiple-time winner of the eGate Award for equitable, gifted, and talented instruction. PGCPS also leads the state in eGate honors with nearly 50 awards since 2009. In 2024, Benjamin Tasker Middle School and Heather Hills Elementary earned the honor, along with Kingsford Elementary School in 2023, the first time marking a proud milestone. And I know your pride and joy, Bowie High School, continues its tradition of excellence through a wide mix of programs. I mean, you've got the advanced placement program there, dual enrollment with Prince George's Community College and Bowie State, the Summit Scholars Program supporting students with AP courses, and a career and technical education pathway, including construction design, early childhood education, a teacher academy, and a culinary arts program. District 5 is also home to a number of non-traditional programs offering flexible, supportive pathways to graduation, and students benefit from smaller class sizes, credit recovery, social emotional support, and career exploration, all designed to prepare us for one of the 4 E's, either ensuring that our kids are enrolled, employed, enlisted, or are entrepreneurs. And as we look at construction in your district, which I know is an issue for many that people pay attention to, Prince George's manages the state's second oldest and largest school facility portfolio. We've got 208 buildings and averaging 50 years in age, and that's a challenge for us. So it's billions of dollars to get all of our schools new and renovated. And so to address the 30-year construction gap and the $8 billion maintenance backlog, we've launched an ambitious 3-pronged construction strategy to deliver new schools more quickly. We call it Blueprint School P3, and then we also have CIP construction and modernizations. So in District 5, you're a direct beneficiary of this investment through the P3 model, which is a first of its kind public-private partnership. We broke ground last fall on the new Fairwood Elementary School, one of 8 new schools in the Blueprint Phase 2, slated to open during the 2027-2028 school year. It's an 82,000 square foot building, which will serve more than 600 students in pre-K through 5th grade. And the designs include a centrally located library, shared dining and performance space, gymnasiums, art and music studios, and collaborative spaces that foster creativity and connection. So again, you've got a number of great schools and great things happening here. So at this time, I will stop and I'll allow Dr. Jackson to ask some of the questions that you have for me.
Thank you, Dr. Joseph. We have quite a few questions. The first one is from a guest, Akimbra. Her question is, what will success look like for you at the end of your interim term?
At the end of the
interim period?
Yeah. So success looks like a couple things. One, working collaboratively with the board to be clear about our focus. I think that's one goal. Two, I think we've got an opportunity to dramatically increase the number of students taking dual enrollment dual enrollment courses. And I think we also have an opportunity to address the 30% truancy rate that we have, with 30% of our students having 18 absences or more. I think those are easy, quick wins. I also think we can do a good job of not only hiring strong principals, but also hiring a strong central office bench and having people prepared, to assume a superintendency internally at some point. I also think if we can engage families and get families active, give families greater voice, and um, get families really fired up about not only holding us accountable, but holding themselves accountable, I think that would be a definite success. And then I think I think if we can really strengthen relationships with our unions, improve overall morale in the district, and be really clear about our focus and end with a strategic plan. I think that's a whole lot for 1 year. And I think I might need a pay raise. I'm just joking. I'm just joking. I don't do
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Joseph. The next question from an anonymous attendee is about special education.
Yeah.
The question is, what is the goal for special education in this county? And they list several concerns that students with special needs may not be having their needs met. Some IEPs are not being followed, and therefore students are receiving services such as occupational therapy, speech therapy, etc. And then, of course, parents are lost because they don't have the support that they need. This question is, please share how this will be resolved. And thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you for the question. Listen, I know we've got a lot of work to do with special education. I think, we have solid special education staff, and special we have strong special education leadership. I think, but the challenge has been, I think we've got to do a better job making special education support a system-wide accountability priority. We had too many special education vacancies last year, period. There's just too many schools did not have a special education teacher or did not have a special education paraeducator. And as such, some students had challenges getting their needs met. And that's something we just need to own. So right now we're in corrective action by the state for special education. So there's major work, and it's been on my first day. One of the first people that I spoke with was Dr. Trinell Bowman, who's the head of special education, just to talk with her about the support her department needs to really ensure that one, we're staffed, two, teachers are getting the training that they need, three, that we're making sure we're in compliance with all IEPs. So special education is a top priority for me this year, especially as we respond to the corrective action, and staffing for these student groups must be addressed. So some of the immediate things that we're working on is, one, we're putting together a public dashboard looking at the vacancies for special education. I know you cannot manage a secret. And so if there's a vacancy, I want to know, and we've got to actively work to fill those vacancies. I do know that Dr. Bowman has talked to me about getting outside support to make sure we remain in compliance with IEP requirements. And so we're working, and I'll make sure that the funds are there for that. Um, we also need to, just lock in tighter on making sure, like I said, there's cross departmental support, and really make sure that principals are clear about what we must do for special education students. We have a new chief of schools now with Dr. Carletta Mauro. And I know it's one of her top priorities to make sure principals are prioritizing special education as it relates to the scheduling of their work and making sure that if the buildings aren't staffed, that we have supports in place to make sure student IEPs are prioritized. I mean, we can't be laxed when it comes to our special education requirements, and we will not be relaxed. We will not relax as we work towards that. So, many of our schools that are challenged have community schools dollars, and we'll be prioritizing and making sure that we look at both our community schools dollars, our title dollars, the special education dollars we get, and our local funds to ensure that if special education students have a need, we will address it. But we have an upcoming hiring event for special education teachers on July 23rd at Ellen Ochia Middle School. And we're hoping that we find a lot of great candidates to fill the remaining vacancies, but those vacancies will be monitored closely. And we also plan on meeting soon with the Special Education Parent Advisory Group to understand firsthand, concerns and issues and prioritizing. But we've got to have both high accountability and high support. And that's my commitment to have both as we work to address special education needs.
Thank you. There's a question from a parent who says, I'm interested in signing my son up into the Summit program, but there's not a lot of information on how to sign up. Can we help him tonight?
Yes, if you email superintendent@pgcps.org, I'll be sure to follow up with that information.
Thank you, Dr. Joseph. The next question is from Lisa Wilson. She says that direct support aides are vital in special education. Unfortunately, they are prohibited from attending IEP meetings. Will you commit to integrating them into the IEP team? They possess valuable data about the client student and have the ability to contribute meaningfully, not legally, to the IEP process.
Yeah, I don't know enough about that. I don't know enough to answer that question. What I can do is make sure that I pass that information along to Dr. Bowman. Again, if you just email superintendent@pgcps.org with that question, I'll make sure to connect you with Dr. Bowman, who would be in better position to answer that question.
Thank you. The next question is an anonymous attendee. They say that PGCPS has a parent and community advisory council in place. What are your plans to engage and work with PCAC during your tenure? They are board-appointed parents and community members.
Yes. We'll definitely keep the established structure in place and set up a cadence to communicate. Again, Dr. Jackson is going to be really spearheading and coordinating all of our parent initiatives. But in addition, we want to make sure that we're meeting and engaging families in each district and continuing to do so. And we want to make sure we establish the parent council once again too. It's important that we have a structure, I think, where you have your parent teacher organizations, and then there's a structure for the parent teacher organizations in different parts of the county to be able to come together collectively and be at the table, with me and the team as we're working to do things. I mean, we'll definitely keep the current structure, but we definitely want to also find ways to broaden and engage, greater groups. I mean, we need hundreds of parents actively motivated, ready to go, and advocating for the work that we're doing, within the system. So the current group is an important group that we will engage, and we'll figure out how we can continue to build momentum and add families to be a part of the process.
Thank you. Melanie Walker writes, There are not many staff listed on the High Bridge Elementary School for CRI program. Is the district recruiting for more special education teachers?
We are actively recruiting for special education teachers. Again, on July 23rd, we'll have the event at Ellen Ochoa Middle School. But we're looking. I mean, the challenge is nationally, there's a shortage for special education teachers. So we're working to try to recruit people from other districts, as well as getting people who are already certified, but not maybe special education certified, licensed to be able to do so. We have a multi-pronged approach to try to recruit and retain special education teachers, but there's a national shortage. And we recruit about 1,000 teachers a year in general. So we typically need 100 or more special education teachers within the district. And right now, the universities are not producing them. So we've got to find ways to get people who are passionate and who are capable, certified, to be able to do that work.
Thank you. An attendee asks, what steps will you take to continue to ensure that our concerns in District 5, such as overcrowding, academic support, and transparency, are prioritized during your leadership?
Yeah, well, once we finish with the work in the 100-day plan, which I'll be reporting out on after 30 days, after 60 days, and after 100 days, we're going to move into a strategic planning process. So we'll be re-engaging families, including those families here in District 5, to understand what it is you envision for our school district. I'm meeting with districts, district by district, intentionally, because I know different districts have different needs, and I don't want a particular district's needs to be masked by just a few meetings that are general. The purpose of me coming out specifically by district is to really understand the uniqueness of what you need in your particular district. So, in addition to tonight, we'll have in-person opportunities as well, so I can hear. So I would say, come out and express your desires, knowing that they fall on ears that are listening deeply, and will take what I learn to make it actionable in collaboration with the board.
Thank you, Dr. Joseph. And actually, you just answered the next question. That was about that ongoing opportunities for dialogue. So thank you. The next question is from Brandy McMillan. And she asked us that under priority area 1 in the 100-day entry plan, a shared governance calendar is mentioned. What structures ensure accountability for the shared calendar and the goals for that throughout the year? So we could answer that question, and they have another question as well.
Yeah, so the first part of that is, I'm hoping that the board and I will, in the coming weeks, begin to have some retreats together. And during those retreats, we'll create a governance calendar looking at kind of what are the things that we should be communicating to the public. The goal is to come up with a long range plan and put some topics and things on the calendar that can be shared with the public and the board. And then, we can engage and understand what people want to know about those specific topic areas and moving through. What's critical in terms of, transparency is you know what we're doing, why we're doing it, and how we're going to hold ourselves accountable to it. So you'll see in the coming weeks that we'll put up a series of outward-facing dashboards to allow you more insight about performance, about issues such as staffing, and issues about our overall performance and the progress we're making. It's the reason I just believe again, you can't manage a secret. And so having things public and being accountable, publicly accountable is important. And so we'll continue to work in that fashion. So hopefully if you attend board meetings or watch board meetings later, you'll see us transparently communicating what's coming so you can plan if you have insight or input into a particular topic. You'd have an opportunity to come to a board meeting or submit your thoughts to share for us to be able to take your thoughts and reflect on them as we develop plans.
Thank you. Ms. McMillan's second question is related to priority area 3, which is academics. She says, you mentioned high-performing schools like Heather Hill's Tag Center, but what specific resources or programs will you deploy to schools that fall short of growth targets?
Yeah, no, great question. So, a couple things. One of the things I have the research department doing right now is looking at performance of students last year, because I need to know where are students making adequate growth in subjects like reading and math? Where are they not making adequate growth? Meaning, it's because you get the state scores, and the state scores tell you whether a student hit proficiency or not. But we know many students, particularly students where English is not their first language, for example, may come in and they might not hit the target because they were 2 or 3 grade levels behind, but they did make 1 year of adequate growth. I need to understand the growth patterns. That's a very important baseline because once I know those patterns, I can prioritize resources in those areas where students are not growing adequately, and we can understand why. I'm creating a new structure, particularly for the underperforming schools. And I'm going to create a new associate superintendent for innovation and performance. So we have 24 schools that have consistently underperformed. And we've got to do things differently with those schools. We must ensure that they have strong, high-performing principals in these schools, and we need to make sure that they have a strong school improvement plan where they're planning, they're trying something, they're studying whether that thing that they did worked, and then they're adjusting. We call that a plan, do, study, act cycle. And we have to make sure that we're monitoring to make sure that they're improving. Just today, I had my executive cabinet meeting, and one of the things I talked to the team about, because we had our data team in there, was what data can we monitor along the way to help ensure that schools are progressing or not. And so we talked about that, and we talked about the fact that, we need to make sure we're giving parents data so they know how well their kids are performing in reading and mathematics, and can say, my child reads better than 80% of kids nationally, or my child reads worse than 80% of kids nationally. So we can come up with individual plans for students and make sure that we have programs in schools to give students an opportunity to be retaught and reassessed if they're not meeting standards. So I say all of that to say, we got to be clear about where we are. We got to make sure we have plans in place to monitor data, and we've got to have programs in place to give kids opportunities to reteach and reassess. So, I'm looking at how we're spending our dollars. Another thing that you'll see in my 100-day plan is that I'm looking at return on investment, particularly for some of our federal dollars that we call Title I dollars and the community schools money that we get from the state. We get millions of dollars in both of those categories. And, I need to know that we're putting dollars in the right types of programs that are showing result. If we're not showing a result, we shouldn't be spending money on those things. And if we are seeing results, we should be scaling it. So being thoughtful and paying attention about the types of supports to both accelerate students and provide remediation for students who need additional support is something at the top of the list that I'm deeply looking at data and asking questions and putting plans in place to monitor as we move into this school year.
Thank you. There's a question about how can parents schedule time to meet with you?
Yeah, that's a good one. Look, when I say I'm running, I'm running. I think the best ways to connect would be come to a board meeting and publicly speak. So that way, I can see, hear, and understand your needs there. I think coming out to one of the listening and learning sessions that are coming up is another public forum where I have an opportunity to speak briefly one-on-one with individuals and hear you. um, I think if there's an urgent need, of course, you can just schedule an email or request a meeting with me. I'm definitely open to meeting with folks. I'd probably have the some folks from your area there with me, like one of the principal supervisors or someone. But definitely open if there's an issue. Of course, you can always email me at superintendent@pgcps.org, and I respond to all the emails that I receive.
Thank you. Dee Wallace is a parent who is asking for an equitable resolution in response to an outstanding matter of concern regarding a student, her child, who has served suspension time during the prior school year. And it's about disparate and retaliatory treatment with athletes. I wonder, is there someone with whom she could speak directly?
Yeah, I think there the first line of defense is always your principal. If you've not resolved it with the principal, then there's a principal supervisor. We call them an instructional director. You could reach out to them in that region, um, and it could be resolved there. And if it's not resolved there, the next level would be at the associate superintendent level for your particular region. So if you are not sure how to reach out beyond your principal, you could just contact me at, again, superintendent at pgcps.org, and we can make sure you get connected to the right person.
Thank you. The next question is, what are the main topics to be considered for the strategic plan, considering the following? First of all, it is up for an update this year. And the second part is, does your 100-day plan include addressing a thorough plan? And the third part is, how do you plan to follow the use of this plan?
No, thank you. Thank you for that question. So my 100-day plan is not comprehensive. I mean, a strategic plan should be, but my 100-day plan is not. I mean, I think in terms of areas, I'll prioritize areas based upon a couple things. One, conversations that the Board of Education has, because the Board of Education is critical in a strategic planning process in developing the mission, vision, core values, and key performance indicators for the district. So that work needs to be done simultaneously. We need to listen to parents and teachers and principals to understand issues. We've got to ask ourselves, are we dreaming big enough for our kids, and what does a world-class education look like? Like, we've got to come to that collective answer. And once we do that and see all of that data and then look at our actual academic performance, we lock in to coming up with kind of goals and areas. I mean, I can tell you, any plan that we create is going to have a focus on academics. So you'll see academics and academic improvement as part of a plan. For us in Prince George's County, you're going to see that we have to do something with safety and school culture. That's going to be a part of a plan that I already know, right? And then operational efficiency will be something that's in a plan. But there could be other areas that will emerge from the hopes and dreams of the community and the board. And once we identify what those areas are based upon the feedback, we'll put key performance indicators to say what would success look like in each one of these areas and what would progress look like. And then we'll put the plan out. So know that once we start working on the strategic planning process, we'll get a draft developed, And we'll put that draft out to the public for the public to be able to give us feedback before we finalize it. So no, if you feel like we've gotten it wrong, there will be an opportunity for feedback. Because again, once we lock in, strategic plans are important because our budget should be aligned to it, our action plans should be aligned to it, and we should be able to communicate to you what we're going to do first, second, and third over the course of a 3 to 5 year period. So we'll pull that together collectively and collectively communicate with you and then collectively work to execute on it.
Thank you. Nia Berry asks, are there any plans to adopt HQIM, new curricular programs?
I have not spoken with the board about that. That was not something that was budgeted in last year's budget, because new programs do require budgetary commitments. So for this year, there's not been anything. I think the only thing I think we're considering right now is not necessarily a program, but I think we've got to start thinking about how we want to bring AI into the school system to support teachers and to support students. But in terms of programming, I have not had a conversation with the board just yet about anything like that.
Thank you. An anonymous attendee asked, you mentioned a background in technology. What are your plans to bolster technology, not only for students, but any plans to modernize the many unconnected portals for parents to manage or monitor their children for the lunch system, grades, etc.?
Yeah, I need a better understanding of our technology and the system, to be quite honest. I don't know where we are. Once upon a time, Prince George's County had been, at the forefront of technological innovation. I just don't know where we are now. I've been gone for 9 years, and I know we have lots of technology, but I don't know how effectively we use it, and I don't know how effective it's been in terms of students and work. So that's work that I just need to investigate to have a real answer.
Thank you. Kimberly, and please forgive me, Kimberly Afoakwa, is saying that I'm proud to see a fellow Howard Bison leading PGCPS. As you look ahead, can you commit to strengthening the county's TAG program? Right now, there's a clear lack of enrichment and after-school opportunities for TAG students, and it tends to send the wrong message. Additionally, middle school options remain a real challenge for TAG families. So can you commit to exploring the creation of a TAG Center middle school?
I can commit to better understanding where we are with TAG and what are some of the opportunities for improvement. And until I speak with the Board of Education and understand where we're resourcing and what some of the challenges and issues are with the programs, I can't move forward. But it's definitely, I know TAG programs are important to Prince George's County Public Schools. Again, when I was here back in 2014 to 2016, I mean, that's where we really expanded a lot of our programs. Remember, for those of you that were here during that time, the county executive was Rashawn Baker, and they went after the funding in the county, and I think they raised taxes a little bit, not too much, but a little bit, to bring in more dollars. And we instituted a number of expanded program options. Increasing those types of programs costs something. So we'd either have to figure out what we cut or figure out what we repurpose to expand. And right now, I would have to spend time understanding the quality and the challenges and the successes of our current programming. And I just don't have enough information today to be able to do that. But I do commit to studying it, looking at it, and then communicating about it.
Thank you. An attendee asks, are student identification cards mandatory for high school and middle schools, or are they optional? Most middle schools have them, but some don't. So what is the policy on this?
I do not know the answer to that, unfortunately. If you send me an email, though, I can follow up, and you can send the email to superintendent@pgcps.org.
Thank you, Dr. Joseph.
Mhm.
In relation to community engagement, how will you ensure that parent feedback is embedded into decision-making structures?
Yeah, I think it's one of the reasons I want to continue to expand the parent engagement work at the district level, because we have the board approved parent advisory, and we want to reestablish the uh, parent council, because when we have big issues and big ideas, things like the grading and reporting policy, which we're going to be looking at this semester. We know that if we have those structures in place, we can bring them to those structures to get feedback that we can move on, representative feedback that we can move on. You know, right now, in working with Dr. Jackson, we're really focused on looking at how can we just spoke today about, locking in, the national PTA has kind of 6 areas of parent engagement, and areas we really want to focus on are looking at, you know, helping parents become more involved in the decision-making process of the work that we're doing at the district level, also improving the volunteerism, and then helping families best support their students, with helping you understand our curricular outcomes and goals. And so we'll put structures in place to be able to help, at least in those 3 areas, to get us moving forward.
Thank you. Here's a question about measures put in place for safety of students, especially in high schools. And this one says, especially Bowie High School, as this is District 5.
Yeah, so safety is a big issue. I know that. And I know that the board in the previous administration made significant investments in safety, adding more technology to make sure that our schools are safe in terms of weapon detections. I know we have the clear bag policy for high schools. In the past year, data has shown that our safety investments have made an impact. Weapons-related incidents declined along with the rollout of new safety protocols, and major incidents, including fights and threats, fell by about 65%. But we know that there's more that needs to be done. I mean, right now, again, as I shared, we have the clear backpacks for high school students and some middle schools, and security enhancements in all of our high schools and some middle schools have led to a significant reduction in weapons in schools and contraband seized. Security enhancements have successfully stopped weapons from entering our schools. And more importantly, we see a strong culture of trust, with students stepping up to report concerns to trusted adults and helping prevent incidents before they happen. Prince George's County Schools invested in security with 53 new positions, standard minimum staffing at all middle schools, and upgraded security techs. And then we also have new safe passages coordinators now focused on pedestrian safety, supported by a new partnership with the County Public Works to address traffic concerns. So, safety is a collective effort. We're going to continue to be proactive, but we've got I know I recently spoke with our associate superintendent for student services, Liz Faison, about the fact that we've got to have some more standardized behavioral expectations across schools. We have our student rights and responsibilities handbook. We've got to make sure that's clear about how we handle behaviors, and we've got to invest in some type of behavior modifications to reinforce positive behaviors across schools. It's been inconsistent, and I'm aware of that. But one thing I'm clear about is we can't have violent students in our buildings. I take a strong, hard line on Yeah, we want to support students, but if a student demonstrates that they're not safe or threatening, others, they should not be in our schools. And we can find alternative places to support them. But we've got to make sure that the majority of our students are safe and are appropriate in buildings. We're working, to do that, and we are putting supports in place, and the board previously has made investments in mental health supports. As you know, since the pandemic, we've just seen an increase in bad behaviors and mental health issues emerging in our schools. So we have previously, even prior to me coming, the board and previous administrations have made investments in increasing counselors, psychologists, nurses, clinicians, pupil personnel workers, and community coordinators. We have digital supports. We invest in a program through a company called Hazel Health that provides virtual counseling, and it's free to students. They can opt in. And then we also have an app called Prosper to support students with self-care. The investments have also been made since 2024 with the Maryland Community Health Resources Commission. We put $25 million in, or we got a grant for $25 million to expand partnerships with 18 local healthcare providers. And coming soon, we are going to have some school-based wellness centers opening in partnership with the Children's National Hospital. And so we hope over the course of 3 years that that'll be a district-wide program. So we recognize, students got to be safe before they can learn, and we have to be proactive. And we're a large district, and we've got some large schools. So all staff have to be on deck, and that's a message that I know I'll be sending to our principals about ensuring that step one, our buildings are safe and secure before so our kids have the conditions, proper conditions to learn.
Thank you, Dr. Joseph. Justin Robinson writes, our students take a lot of assessments, and he says too many. Some of them are required by the state, some are local. Can you please talk about your views around assessments and how we can make them more meaningful and targeted?
It's a great question. One, I know we have a committee that looks at testing. I think there was a Maryland state law in recent years that required all districts to minimize the amount of testing that's happening. At a minimum, I do think we need tests to be able to tell parents and students how well children are doing reading and math at a basic level, and that testing should uh, let you know how your kid compares to other kids. I think that's really important. I also think we have to have a level of short-term assessments to be able to tell us whether students are making progress in academic content. So I know in Prince George's, we have, I think the tests are given quarterly, benchmark tests to communicate whether students are making progress on the content that they should have learned. Again, that's important. I mean, I see short formative assessments as an important indicator to let us know whether we're making progress or not, because we don't want to just wait till the end of the year to realize a student is not learning. We want to be able to see short term and then, have structures again to reteach and reassess as we move through. So, I believe in short cycles of assessment to monitor a student's progress, and also assessments that let us know whether students are doing well and how they compare to kids nationally. And because I think that's the most accurate type of data to inform a parent on whether a child is progressing or not. So we're going to look at the assessments. I did speak with our team today about the fact that I was concerned, quite frankly, that last year we didn't have consistent assessments to let parents know whether their kids were doing well in reading and math. I think that's a mistake, particularly kindergarten through 8th grade. And so I plan on having them use, we currently have an assessment called Dibbles in the district, and we currently have an assessment called iReady in the district for reading and math. I think it's important that we give those assessments at the beginning of the year so we can let parents know where their children are in terms of reading and math. Yeah. And then we can look at the other assessments that we give as we go through.
Thank you, Dr. Joseph. The next question is about one of your favorite areas, transportation.
I would love some transportation.
This one says bus issues were not resolved last school year. The morning bus never made it to our stop, and the bus app never worked. So have any of these issues been resolved, and what is the plan for this year?
So I spent most of my morning talking about buses. So it's a couple things. One, we currently have 137 vacancies for bus drivers. That's significant because it says that there are probably going to be problems again this year because, it takes us about 6 weeks or more, almost 2 months to get someone by the time they say, I want to be a bus driver, to actually get them trained, get their licenses and everything ready for them and get them prepared to actually be out by themselves. And so, knowing that that's the case, we're doing a couple things. One, we're going to make sure we adequately communicate to the public where we anticipate there are going to be challenges right up front. Because we know that there are, again, 137 vacancies. That means there are going to be a couple hundred bus routes that are affected. So we'll make sure we communicate to those communities in the coming weeks. I mean, we'll get a good 2 to 3 week head start to communicate where we think the areas and challenges are going to be, and communicate better about what those challenges in terms of time. We'll always make sure kids get to and from school. But when you have a shortage in the bus routes, there are going to be delays, and we can tell you where those delays are, and we'll make sure we communicate better in doing that. We continue to monitor our work to modernize our transportation infrastructure for on-time buses and accurate parent communication. And we've heard about the frustrations with the Stop Finder app, and we'll be piloting a new parent app called Chipmunk this fall to eventually potentially replace Stop Finder. And quite frankly, I spoke with Dr. Coleman, who's our Chief Operating Officer, and Mr. Baldwin, who's the head of transportation, just yesterday. And I told them, I know we're piloting just one app, but I may want to pilot two, because what if that one app doesn't work? Like, I'm a little paranoid. So we're gonna begin piloting Chipmunk for our special education students to start. And if we're successful with the app, we'll roll it out to the wider community later in the school year. I did ask Dr. Coleman and Mr. Baldwin to speak to folks in Howard County right next to us, because they use another type of app. And if there's a possibility for us to even pilot that simultaneously, I'm open to doing it, because I know it's been a big challenge for us. But the app that we're currently planning on piloting will provide real-time bus locations and ETA data, which will alleviate some of the frustration that parents had last year and in previous years. In tandem, we're adding about 1,200 new tablets to school buses to try to improve the routing and the GPS function. We're establishing new bus hubs this year to reduce ride times and improve efficiency and on-time performance. And we're going to pilot that at 3 specialty schools in the fall in partnership with the Department of Parks and Planning. We're doubling the transportation communications staff for better customer service. So we know that when you call the office, many parents have been frustrated just because you couldn't get anybody. Well, it's because we're getting thousands of calls a day. And it was just, I mean, at best they could take about 1,000 calls in a day, but they were getting about 6,000 calls in the day. So we've increased the amount of people that'll be able to answer phones. And we also hired non-CDL drivers to drive vans and do some contracted services for us for some of our smaller routes. But we're going to be working to get parents actively connected to I think it's called Parent View to get your routing information, and we're going to be sending out cards. We spoke about that today. Cards with QR codes to help parents get the most accurate information about their bus routes this year. So no, we are working on this thing seriously. In addition, even though we're 137 bus drivers down, we're not stopping recruiting. You're going to start hearing on the radio and on social media much more intensive communications working to recruit bus drivers. And we're working to recruit bus drivers internally with some of our employees who make less money than bus drivers in areas that we feel we can easily replace them if they're interested in getting trained to be bus drivers. But we are working very aggressively because we know it's been a ongoing issue that has been a pain point for the entire community.
Thank you so
That's all I
much.
got to say about that.
Okay. Thank you so very much. It's 7:06, and I think I have about 10 more questions.
Okay.
And I think we can answer some of these quickly. One is, why doesn't our district, District 5, have a tag middle school for tag elementary schools?
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that. It could be a resource thing. It could be a capacity issue. But again, I do commit to looking at our tag situation and having conversations about that.
Thank you. An anonymous attendee asked, how can parents be assured that you have skin in the game? They say, I'm not sure if you have minor children, but would you be comfortable enrolling your children in our school system?
Uh,
And should a superintendent be required to enroll their children in our school system?
Well, if I had school-age children, they definitely would be here in Prince George's County. I mean, I know they could get a good education. I have a son who graduated from Howard University a year ago, and now he's working on his master's at American University. And I have a daughter who is a junior at Spelman. But if they were here, they would be there. And in terms of skin in the game, look, I was in the district and I was in the district for 2 years about 9 years ago, and I came back because I believe in this district. I mean, I didn't, I had a pretty professorial life, which wasn't too bad, you know. But I believe in Prince George's County schools, and that's why I'm here. So the skin's here. Otherwise, believe me, I wouldn't be doing 18 listening and learning sessions if I didn't have skin. If I didn't have skin in the game, I tell you that. I could there are easier ways to live, but I I want to be here and committed to doing the work.
Thank you. Is there one thing you hope people will say about your time as interim superintendent, whether it's a parent or the car line or a student in the hallway? What will people say about you?
Yeah, I mean, I hope people see that I care. One, I think that's important, and that I'm passionate about Prince George's County and Prince George's County success. I hope people would say that I was transparent and accountable, and they saw improvement. I mean, at the end of the day, that they saw that I said I was going to do something, I did it, and I was very upfront, transparent, honest, and accountable.
Thank you, sir. I'm looking at some of the remaining questions, and I think they are answered in your quick review of your 100-day plan. So if it's okay, I would like to go ahead and shift to that portion of our presentation. And if there's time, we can get back to some of the other unanswered questions.
Sure, and I'll be very quick because I see it's 7:10. Again, so my 100-day plan has 6 areas. Area one is about the board. And basically, it's really about us coming together and being clear about what we want to do first, second, and third, and being clear about what success looks like and how we communicate and work together. If you go to priority two is about talent. And we've got to get, we hire about 1,000 people a year, and we've got to get the right people in front of our kids. And we've got to make sure we're doing our work in a way that respects all of our employees. So priority two for me is about level setting with our unions, being clear about what the expectations of the blueprint are, and working to staff and build the capacity of people, and getting people, excited to come to work, recognizing that we've got an opportunity to do great things for children. If you go to three, priority three for me is really about understanding where we are academically. How did we get here? And where are we going? I'm concerned that, it's kind of like you play a game of whack-a-mole, right? We have increases in one area, and then some areas go down. We've got some students that are doing well, but not all students doing well. And priority area three for me is identifying where are we seeing great growth, good growth, bad growth, and what are our plans to do something about it. How are we supporting our neediest schools and with wraparound supports and services? And it's about the return on investment. Are we investing, putting dollars in things that are helping us move forward or not? And having those answers. So I've been over the past, 2 weeks scrubbing through our data, asking a lot of questions, getting our research office to look at what we're spending dollars on and the evidence on whether we're making it's making a difference or not. And just figuring out where we need to prioritize our efforts this year. Where are there opportunities for quick wins, and what's the long-term work that we need deep plans, budget, and strategy towards. So the academic piece is really locking in to do those things. And then if we go to priority four, we're blessed to be in Maryland, where we have a state legislature that's invested over $3 billion into improving public education in our state. And it's at the right time, whereas we see the federal government reducing budgets, we see our state making it a priority. But the blueprint for Maryland's future, has a number of lofty goals. And in my first 100 days, I'm trying to understand where is Prince George's County in relationship to the state goals. Where are places where we're excelling? Where are places that we're not close? And so we can put plans in place to move us forward. In some areas, I know we're excelling. So, for example, when we recently agreed to the tentative teachers agreement, if it's approved by our teachers, our brand new teacher in Prince George's County will make a little more than $60,000 a year. That was a goal of the blueprint that we're 1 year ahead of. So we're happy that we're able to do that because we know it costs a lot to live in Maryland and Prince George's County, and that's a decent salary for a brand new student to come out and earn. But the blueprint also has goals for early childhood, career technical education, how we collaborate with teachers and have teacher, career lattices and things of that nature. So, we'll be working closely. And what I'm looking at in this first 100 days is, are we on target, and what do we need to adjust? Because right now, we've got the blueprint plan that we've been working from, and we've got the strategic plan that we've been working from. But, the ideal state would be to have one plan that addresses blueprint goals. And so as we go into the strategic planning process, we'll do just that and ensure that the strategic plan addresses the goals of the blueprint as well as the aspirations of our community. If we go to priority five. And again, priority five is where I started, community engagement. We can't do anything if we don't have parents engaged and active in the success of our community and their children. And so some of the things I'm doing now is just, committing to listening deeply, putting structures in place, because a lot of times we don't have parent engagement because we haven't put the structures in place to successfully partner. And so working with Dr. Jackson, we're thinking about what are the structures that need to be put in place to really amplify parent voice. I can tell you, I do believe we need to update our parent engagement policy, board policy, because the policy lays the foundation for our value system and the expectations on what we expect to see in schools. And I think we can strengthen the language there to make it clear that parents are partners, and we should be welcoming and provide access and opportunities for them to engage with us better. And so listening to parents, though, and hearing your stories and understanding what you care about matters as we develop plans, and that's what I'm working on. And then the final area that we're talking on is operations. We've got a lot of old buildings. Like I said, we've got 208 schools and many are over 50 years old. And while we're working to update schools, we've got a lot of old buildings, but you can have an old building, but it still can be clean, it still can be safe, it still can have the technology that we need. And I'm working to look and assess where we are in those areas. And look, we've got when you got old buildings, you have HVAC challenges, plumbing, electrical challenges, all of those things, where I need to see where the hot spots are and how we work with our capital improvement budget to address some of those needs. I know, again, in Prince George's County, I know the building maintenance and building challenges are significant. And so working to collectively address those issues in the communities where they need to be addressed is a priority. So those are the 6 areas that are guiding my work. Again, it's not meant to be comprehensive and all-inclusive. It's just, it enables me to come in with some focus in some key areas that I think are significant that will ultimately roll into the work we're going to do with the strategic plan. So Dr. Jackson, I think that's a quick summary, and I can take a few more of the questions that you had.
Absolutely. Thank you. We have a question about Bowie High School, that the main campus of Bowie High School still lacks adequate air conditioning, especially in the gym, which has none. And they were wondering what immediate and long-term actions are being considered to address Bowie High School.
Yeah, that would require, whenever you're changing air conditioning, it's significant dollars, and that would be something that would be in the capital improvement budget. I just don't know where Bowie is in that, but it is a public document. But that type of change would be addressed in the capital improvement budget, and so we'd have to look there to see where you are for that.
Thank you. Another question is, what are the possibilities for installing metal detectors in schools? High schools, for example, for everyone's safety.
Yeah, well, I know the board made investments in technology to support making sure that no guns and weapons enter the buildings. I'm not sure if it was in every school. That's something I'm still looking at, but I know those types of enhancements happened, and they're a priority. So we'll continue to look at it, because we've got to make sure in 2025 all schools are safe, and we can be preventative in that. But I do know that there were big investments made. I don't know if there are schools that still need support. If so, I mean, that's something that we should prioritize.
Thank you. There are 2 questions about teacher retention. One of them is asking if we have looked at our root causes for the vacancies that we have, whether it's compensation, behavior challenges. The other one talks about do we have thoughts about CTE expansion to develop our own teacher pipeline?
Yeah, so for the first, we do have some exit data on why teachers leave, not a whole lot. But I will say, each year we have about 1,000 teachers that we fill, but that's about normal. I mean, for a district our size, what I would say is right now we have an 89% fill rate for teachers, but 11% in a district this size is still too many teachers vacant. Um, as it relates to CTE, we have a lot of challenges getting our CTE teachers because they have to have industry certifications, and we work with uh, trade uh, trade associations and others to try to bring people in and get them the skills and trades that they need. But one of the things we're going to prioritize right up front is a culture of care. I mean, we right off the bat, I've been speaking with staff, and I met with all of the unions actually today and talk with them about the fact that I've been speaking with the head of benefits to really support mental wellness for employees and also just physical health. I mean, we've got a lot of employees who you know need support managing weight, have issues with diabetes, high blood pressure, and other things that are preventative. And I think we need to be more explicit about, healthy living because we need our staff to be well so they can take care of our children. And so that is going to be a priority out of the gate for us this year.
Thank you. There have been about 3 questions about school start times. Some of them have asked if they could go back to the ones they had before we implemented our transportation plan, uh, and express concerns about the changes that we've gone through. Is there anything that you could say to these parents?
The only thing I could say is start times will be the same this year. There were no changes this summer. The reason for a lot of the change was we worked to reduce a lot of the bus routes. I believe they eliminated thousands of bus routes to be more efficient and to address the transportation challenges that we were seeing in previous years. So that information I know. But right now there is no change in the times.
Thank you. And then we have, I think our last question. What's one thing? No, I'm sorry, sir, that's the wrong question. Um, Here it is. How can the grading system go back to its original calculations? Because although the graduation rate has gone up, uh, GPAs have gone down, and students do not have the accountability for their work.
Yeah, what I'll say is, we're definitely going to tackle the grading policy this semester in discussions, and it'll go to principals, teachers, parents, and then get feedback, and then ultimately for the board to consider. Grades have to mean something, and we're going to take time to get feedback to update the policy. Well, we know that work needs to be done, and we have to find a balance. I mean, we don't, sometimes we had grading policies that were punitive, that hurt kids, right? You get a 0, and there's nothing you can do. You can't pass. We don't want to go back to those days, but we also don't want kids to pass without really having to do anything. So there has to be a balance, and I know that there is a committee working to come up with some reasonable modifications to strengthen accountability and make sure that a grade actually means something. So be on the lookout for opportunities to give feedback on what's proposed. because it'll be coming soon.
Thank you. And I think we have been through all 34 questions. I have one last. Here's the question is, what does meaningful accountability look like to you? And how can District 5 families play a role in making sure that we stay on track together?
Yeah, meaningful accountability to me means being open and transparent about where we are, communicating what our plans are to improve, and coming back and communicating back on, did we achieve our goals or not? If not, why not? And if not, what are we going to do next? But just constantly keeping it out there, because again, you can't manage a secret. So the more we're open, honest, put things out there, and look, we don't live in a world. I'm a pragmatist. I don't ever think that anything is ever perfect. My goal is always just to make things better. And so, for me, to be able to communicate something better, I got to be clear and communicate to you where we started and then where we are, so we can measure. And that's transparent to me, to just be clear about where we are, and be clear about the journey, whether if we improved, discuss what we think we did, and if we didn't improve, discuss why not and what we're going to do differently.
Thank you so very much, Dr. Joseph. To our community, that concludes all 34 of our questions that have been asked tonight. And we would like to begin our closure with a closing video that talks about our next steps and upcoming events in Prince George's County for your engagement. Thank you for being with us tonight, and remember our evaluation at the end. Again, everyone, please remember to stay tuned. We will be publishing the dates for the in-person community meetings very shortly. We look forward to meeting you within your own school board district with your Board of Education member and our interim superintendent. So please enjoy the rest of your summer and stay tuned for our next events.